as I mentioned, it's dispelling a lot of misconceptions that I had about the Roman Empire, about the late Roman Empire, and teaching me a lot of things. So I think I guess I wanted to start with asking like what why are we still so obsessed with the Roman Empire? I mean, there was the meme that went around last or this year still about ask
No, it
your
was last
boyfriend.
year. It was last
Was it
year.
last year?
Yeah,
Oh
it was.
wow,
Yeah,
time moves fast, doesn't it? But yeah,
yeah,
about ask your boyfriend how often he thinks about the Roman Empire.
yeah. It's
But
that's the only time I felt really on trend in the entirety of my life. That was
so
going on.
so yeah, so what? Why are we still so obsessed?
I think, well, probably a couple of reasons. I mean, if you come out of the European context, you trip, especially Western Europe, you're tripping over Roman stuff all the time. Hadrian's Wall is still there. In Britain, and other places have amphitheaters and goodness knows what else, town plans that still reflect the Roman town plan. There's a huge physical imprint that you see. I suppose it doesn't take long then to kind of rumble from that. For me, what's so interesting is it's the biggest state that Western Eurasia has ever seen. It's bigger than the medieval successors like the Holy Roman Empire or Charlemagne's Empire. It's much bigger than that. It goes from Hadrian's Wall to the Euphrates, for goodness sake. It's just colossal. And it lasts a very long time, 500 years, half a millennium. Same time separating us from pretty early in the reign of Henry VIII. He's still only on a first wife number one at that point. So this is a huge phenomenon, and the bigger the phenomenon, then more interesting is when does it stop.
I think the sheer size is something that you mentioned really early on in terms of not just like physical miles, but about time distance.
Yes, it's something that I think about a lot, and I think not enough, even though I do think about it a lot. And that is that the real measure of distance is how long it takes you and me to get from places. Now, the Roman Empire could pass messages around very quickly, 150 miles a day with changes of horses, but everything else moves at walking pace. Even if you have a horse, you walk it. You can always see the romantic westerns where they gallop all day because that would kill a horse. You know, the point was the horse walked, you didn't, so that's why it was nice to have a horse. So speed over land is not more than 20 or a bit more miles a day for everything. And if you think that driving, we can easily do 20 times that, 400 miles a day, then actually what that means is that places are 20 times further apart in practice in the Roman Empire than they appear to be when we look at the map with a modern time speed thing in mind. So actually, the Roman Empire does look enormous anyway, but you have to multiply it by 20. It's like running all of Eurasia as one entity, actually,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
not more, if you do the maths. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's really crazy because, like, in that sense, it's far larger than any
Yeah.
modern empire that we have in the of any country or landmass or collection. Like,
Yeah.
even if you think it's larger than Russia is, like conceptually in the modern day.
Yes. No, it is. And, when you stick in this half a millennium, at fullest extent, that's pretty much half a millennium. Britain came and went a bit quicker, but who cares about that? Most of it is a unit for half a millennium. Makes the British Empire, which at fullest extent is what 100 years, makes it look like a joke. This is a huge historical phenomenon. Yeah.
And I guess that so the point of the book is broadly, if you don't mind me,
No,
summing it up for you.
not at all. I'd be really interested to see what you make of it.
I mean, it's basically that we are Rome, but not in the West as such is Rome, but not in the ways that we think. I think is the closest summation I could come in one sentence to putting it together. So I wanted to ask, like, to start with for people, maybe you could give briefly like why are we similar in your mind to the Roman Empire, and why are we not?
Yeah. Um, I think the similarity lies in the extent of global domination exerted by this system. I mean, the Roman Empire obviously doesn't dominate the whole planet, but given these distance time points, it's dominating a planet worth, as it were. So it is a global hegemon, and the West too is a global hegemon, dominating structures of wealth generation and wealth distribution in the same way that the Roman Empire did. So I think they are comparable in scale as phenomena. Um, the the biggest difference, of course, is that the Roman Empire's economy is agricultural, overwhelmingly agricultural, and you know this means that things like growth rates and whatever the economic change happens much more slowly within the system. But you know, it's looking at large, long-lived imperial systems, how they change themselves and how they change the world around them. That's what we're interested in here.
One of the parts of the book that was really interesting to me that I'd never thought about in terms of the Roman Empire was the you always so you look at the map and you think, okay, there was the Roman Empire, as you said, from Hadrian's Wall to the Euphrates, but you don't think about it in terms of like the spread of its influence from beyond that and sort of slowly sort of dispersing out and become maybe more less and less influential as it goes out, but the reach of the empire is far beyond it. And one of the things that really interested me was about the way that the Romans, in a sense, they built up the peripheries, as you put it, around them, and ultimately it was the strength of those peripheries that were a large contributing factor in its downfall. And it kind of scares me that I see that happening in the modern world as well today.
Yes, well, I mean, it was this. It was seeing that image because I was thinking about this in the 1990s when globalization was taking off. That's when I'm so old that I was first thinking about it in the 1990s. That I began to see that the archaeological and indeed the historical evidence for what was happening in the non-Roman world was very suggestive of a similar pattern to what we were seeing in the modern day. The Romans didn't really talk about it very much. Barbarians are barbarians. They don't go into detail, but the archaeological picture shows very strongly demographic and economic expansion in the world around Rome in the eras, well, in really the first 300 years AD. So when the Roman Empire's at its height, the world around it is changed. And that's reflected too in the historical sources, in that by the time we get to the 4th century, the late Roman period, the kind of entities that Rome is engaged with on its frontiers are very different to the ones that are there in the 1st century. So, the time of Tacitus, where you have a huge number of very small political units in the Germanic world beyond the frontier. You have a much smaller number of larger confederations turning up in the historical sources. And the backdrop to that is clearly this social and economic transformation that's visible in the archaeological materials. So putting all that together and thinking about it, and the nature of that archaeological evidence, and again the kind of things that turn up in the historical sources are suggesting that it is a series of relationships with the empire that is the dynamic transformational force behind this overall change in the non-Roman world.
Yeah, because the other thing, as you've mentioned there, that was really interesting to me is this idea that the Roman, the story that I understood at least about the Roman Empire was that they peaked long before the end came, and it seems like that's not the case at all.
No, I mean this is the Gibbonian view, the Antonine Age, the golden Antonine Age of the 2nd century, and it's an incredibly powerful idea. it's based on some of the big monumental survivals of construction that you get. And it lasted, well, Gibbon's first edition is published same year America declares independence, 1776. So,
Wow, is it that old?
yeah, it's that old.
Wow.
And it makes it easy to remember, of course.
Yeah, true.
Marketing agencies, listen up. I know you're stressed, so I'm gonna let you do less work and get better results. I'm talking about Ad Creative AI. I wanna show you some of my favorite features. Paste your landing page, and then in just a few steps, Ad Creative AI will have enough information to generate hundreds of ad creative. Check out the ad text. Each one has a copywriting method that you're familiar with, and they even have suggested audiences. And now you have your complete strategy and asset for your client. This is the text projects feature. Obviously, they're gonna generate you some compelling ad copy that's focused on driving results. They have over 250 million ad texts and headlines, which is way more than you and I could read in our lifetime. This is your brand CTR score compared to your competitors, your ad fatigue, and even best performing colors, labels, and ad text, as well as your top creatives. They even turned this into a PDF so you can send it directly to your clients. You can now sell Ad Creative AI to your clients while making it look like your own internal tool with your own colors and logo. If you're interested in any of these sweet new features, check out Ad Creative AI's agency package.
Hey everyone, thanks for making it right the way to the end of the podcast. I love that you tuned in this long. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, because 80% of you bastards are not subscribing, but you're watching my videos. See you next time.